Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for joining the Model N webinar introducing channel data management and a clean POS and inventory data for Model N customers. We appreciate everyone taking your time. And before we get started, just a couple of words on webinar logistics. All of you have been logged in muted mode. As we will go through the presentation, we will be happy to take questions. Please use the Q&A button on your window to see the Q&A panel on the right-hand side, and please type in your questions there. We will try to address as many of the questions as they come up at the end of the webinar in the Q&A section. With that, let me quickly go through the agenda that we have prepared for you this morning. We will start with a quick introduction of the speakers and then go into an overview of channel data management challenges as we have seen them in multiple companies. We will share some insights into the acquisition of Channel Insight and why it is important from the perspective of existing Model N customers and what is the value for Model N customers. We will then go through a channel data management demo showing you some of the capabilities, and that will be introduced by Edgar, who will introduce shortly. And we will finish off with the free Dirty Data Challenge, which is an easy way for our customers to evaluate whether or not channel data management can provide some material value for our customers. And we will end off with a Q&A session. With that, let me start with introducing myself and Edgar. My name is Hanan Greenberg. For those of you who are not familiar with me, I'm the Vice President and General Manager of the high-tech business at Model N, and I've been with Model N now for north of 10 years, working in mostly in the high-tech and semiconductor practice. And with me today is Edgar Celerio, who is the Business Solutions Consultant for Model N. For the past 2 years, Edgar has been the lead business solutions consultant for the channel data management solution at what was formerly known as Channel Insight. Prior to that, Edgar was the team lead for partner onboarding and report partner management for Channel Insight. Prior to that, Edgar held a position of Senior Matrix and Reporting SDLC Process Engineer at Deltek and Business Systems Analyst for Customer Reporting at Cigna Health Services. Edgar holds a BSBA in International Business from the University of Colorado at Denver, and he is fluent in Spanish. And Edgar, as I mentioned, will be taking over the second part of today's presentation, walking us through how the solution works and providing an actual demo. With that, let me get started with a high-level overview of channel data management challenges. The first issue that we see coming across many of our customers is the issue of timeliness. Not all channels report at the same time, not all channels report when required, and information is not readily available for decision makers, and it also means that incentives are not paid in time. Ultimately, it also ties to the format in which data is submitted, and there is some amount of work associated in making sure that the channels are managed correctly. Large channels who have EDI or Rosetta Net feeds tend to not be so much of a problem once the formats and data loads are already set, but many of the smaller channels tend to still be a bit of a handful in terms of managing that process. Once data is submitted, it is rarely clean. Customer names don't necessarily match. SKUs in the product catalog don't always match with various items that are appended to them. Spelling and different name conventions create issues. Moreover, not all data is submitted in the first place, so there is often a lot of data that is missing, whether it's specific names, branch names, addresses, zip codes, and other types of data that is not submitted in the submission of each channel, and not all channels submit the same data fields. This also leads to issues around alignment between inventory and POS data, understanding what is truly available in inventory versus misalignments with what the POS and claims really say. This impacts the speed in which bookings can be closed, and it impacts the understanding of revenue recognition, not to mention makes it difficult to manage gray market situations. And last but not least, there is a lot of manual alignment required. When companies try and map point-of-sale data back to the originating designs or opportunities, it is rarely aligned with what is going on in their CRM, and it requires a lot of fuzzy logic and, again, quite a bit of manual work to produce that image. The impact of these issues is there's a lot of busy work. Most companies will have more than one person, sometimes 2 or 3 people in various locations around the world doing a lot of work, whether it's with homegrown developed algorithms or Excel spreadsheets and access tables to try and cleanse the data. And this has a cost. This is not work that is done for free. It has an internal cost, an internal operational cost for the company. Secondly, we have seen companies experience as much as 7-figure overpayments, whether it's on sales compensations, channel incentives, credit claims, and other aspects that are impacted by having unclean and incomplete channel data. The fact that the data is incomplete and unclean also means that there is impacted visibility into the channel business. There's a poorer understanding of market share and less effective corrective measures that sales and marketing can take if the information is incomplete and incorrect. And in some cases, in some extreme cases, we've seen that salespeople are spending as much as 10 to 15% of their time actually tracing through point-of-sale data and trying to map those back to opportunities to make sure that they're being compensated correctly, which is obviously a very negative impact because that time is spent not selling. Overall, why is this important to Model N customers who already have Model N for point of sale and credit claims and debit management, etc.? Well, a lot of our customers who use the Model N solution use our solution to intake point of sale data and map that and correct that against an existing data set, mostly using our aliasing. And there's 2 issues with that. The first thing is that process, to an extent, is manual. Although there is a learning process there that once the correction is done, it does not need to be done again and again. Nevertheless, every time there is a mismatch, our customers need to map the point-of-sale data against existing records and manually decide whether or not there is a good fit. And on top of that, which in itself has some level of errors involved. And more importantly, this is only being set against the existing data sets that exist inside the company. In other words, there is no benefit to data that is collected across other channels for other customers that may actually be able to complete missing data. So what our customers currently cannot do, first of all, is the whole aspect of the partner management, the whole engagement, direct engagement with the channels or partners to make sure that they're submitting information on a timely manner and in the right format. So that is just a lot of busy work that can be offset to our channel data management team. Secondly, matching and cleaning the data against the industry-wide directory of 27 million validated end customers that we keep, maintain, and continue to grow over time. And this is a huge benefit because now we have the opportunity of taking channel data from one channel and enriching it with data that was never originally submitted, but is available in our directory because we work with over 8,000 channels around the world to collect and complete that data. On top of that, we provide classification and segmentation services, which allows creating a metadata layer on top of the transactional data coming in from the channel, making that information now readily available for analytical purposes, whether it's to understand penetration into end markets, into regions, into end applications, all readily available along with the data feed. So the big difference with what we bring to channel data management that is currently not available with the current channel processes the Model N offers is, number one, the ability to take the end-to-end process, meaning we take full responsibility from the process of collecting the data to cleansing the data, and instead of doing it manually through iterations and aliasing, there are algorithms that go and do that, very sophisticated algorithms that go and do that automatically, reducing the number of errors, and then significantly enriching the data with information that wasn't available, and then finally also providing classification and segmentation services on top of that data, which is a huge enhancement above what is currently available. In our last Rainmakers, both in the Rainmaker X forum as well as in our user forums, our customers last year were asking us to help manage this process end-to-end. And when we took sample data analysis from customers who Model N considers to be well-managed, have a very good handle on their data, and we would consider the data being clean, before it went into processing for credit claims and other purposes. When we ran those data sets against the algorithms of channel insights, or as we call it now, channel data management, we still found between 5 to 10% error rates on average in the data sets that we took. And these are, again, from customers that we believe have extremely clean data sets. So we think that that really illustrates that there is a huge need and a real impact on what does it mean to have 5% or 10% error rates in terms of correctly mapping where business is going, correctly understanding which channels are contributing, what does it mean from an end customer understanding, as well as any credit claims, reconciliation of inventory, or any other sales compensation calculations are associated with this data. And so this led us to the acquisition of Channel Insight, which we completed in November. And now Model N is truly available to help really elevate the quality of data and the speed in which clean data is available to finance, to channel people, to sales and sales operations for their processes. Let me take you into a bit of a high-level overview again of what does the solution offer. For many Model N customers today who use our channel management solution, we can create debits, we can process POS against those debits and calculate credit claims against those debits, manage inventory, calculated quantity on hand versus reported inventory, and we track different values of inventory. In our recent releases, we track the different buckets of inventory so that when credit claims are calculated, they're calculated against the correct value of inventory at the time of the debit transaction. Obviously, price protection, all those are readily available, and more recently, we've just released our rebate application also for the semiconductor and high-tech space. These are all part of what we call the revenue management suite that we bring to our customers. What is now available in the upper part of this slide is Model N channel data management. And this includes quite a few capabilities, which again I'll run through fairly quickly. I list here EDI provisioning, which again for the very large channels, it does really matter. They have the EDI frameworks, they have the Rosetta Net frameworks, which most of you are able to integrate with. However, when it comes to dealing with the smaller channels, those who are still dealing with flat files and other capabilities, and other limited capabilities, now Model N is in a position to provide any one of those, even smaller channels, with an EDI gateway that can submit the data automatically and really make it easy for them to automate the process of submitting data, which means data is submitted faster, it's easier for them to cooperate. The other part is the active partner management, and that really involves the whole engagement, direct engagement with the channels. We have people that operate in different languages, and we're able to operate around the clock. We literally have people working in shifts, so that means that whether it's a channel in China or somebody in Eastern Europe or somebody here in the U.S., wherever it might be, we're able to, or Latin America, we're able to engage to make sure that data is submitted, to flag when information is not submitted or submitted late or is in the wrong format. And these, by the way, when we go to some of our larger customers, these kind of metrics become really important in terms of how they rank that partner. It becomes part of the operational discussion with that channel in terms of errors in their submissions, late submissions. We now not only manage all of that information, but we create that operational visibility to the channel managers when they're doing their quarterly business reviews with those partners. We also provide, obviously, the whole process of cleaning and validating and enriching the point-of-sale data. Like I mentioned earlier on, the data goes through several algorithms, which Edgar will explain in a little more detail shortly, and basically correct the data as much as we can. It's measured against, number one, the existing data set of whatever the customer has, but it's also then corrected based on additional matching algorithms and spelling correction, etc. Then it goes against the overall directory of 27+ million validated entities, and finally goes into the final stages of data segmentation and analysis. And in those phases, we will look at, in some cases, we will actually look at bill of materials of end customers, understand what is embedded in those bill of materials, and identify based on overall information, what is the end market, the end application, the region, etc., where these transactions are taking place, and really enhance the transactional data with that metadata. And finally, for those who wish to do that, whether you're using standard Salesforce.com or if you're using Revy Sales for CRM for semiconductors, we were able to map that point-of-sale data directly to the originating or mapping opportunities to create that visibility for sales and marketing as well. So this is, again, a very high-level overview of the offering. Just to give an insight into who is currently using our channel data management services, you can see here a wide variety of companies ranging from Samsung to TE, AMD, Intel, Panduit, and the list goes on and on, Cambium Networks, Borns, Corning, and you can see here a very wide range of companies, especially those, again, who have ranging from the dozens to the hundreds of partners dealing with anywhere between the low tens of thousands of transactions and very typically high into the hundreds of thousands and millions of transactions on an annual basis. We've really seen every level of engagement with these customers, and many of these have been using this service now for quite a while. At a high level, just to share some examples of benefits, the ability to get that direct weekly visibility into correct inventory information, into correct POS information, has allowed companies like Sharp to take corrective actions in terms of where they introduced sales incentives, where they introduced more sales management focus to really see an increase in overall sales through the channel. We've seen companies like Samsung reduce their internal operational costs by as much as $750,000. Cradlepoint claims increasing data accuracy by over 30% compared to an alternative solution they were using before they transitioned over to the Channel Insight or now Model N Channel Data Management solution. At companies like Oscar Microsystems, six-figure operational cost savings. There's quite a few interesting case studies. I encourage you to explore these online. There's quite a few public data sets are available there for companies to learn from, as well as videos. So, at a summary, what is the highest level of value that we believe this brings to our customers? Number one is the ability to maximize channel sales. We're all in a state where all our customers are fighting for more market share, especially in the semiconductor space where we don't see a lot of organic growth. Market share and changing and impacting market share is really important. But to do that, sales management, sales operations, and marketing need to have near-time, real-time visibility into what's going on in the channel business. And this really provides it like clockwork, within 7 days maximum, we provide that visibility. So it's on a weekly basis is updated. So any change trends and anything that's happening, market share loss, price impact, are all immediately available to the decision makers. Eliminating overpayments, whether it's on credit claims, whether it's on rebates, whether it's on sales compensation, all of these processes, all these three processes are all directly impacted by the accuracy of the data, both the inventory data and the point of sale data, and all those are materially improved with channel data management. Increase the effectiveness of sales organizations by mapping point-of-sale data to opportunities in CRM. They don't have to spend time trying to scour through data to understand which opportunities are actually converting into revenue. And again, the speed in which the information is available means that it's accelerating the decision-making process based on accurate data. It allows companies to optimize their promotions by aligning the investments with market share information they're getting. And last but not least, decreasing the internal operational costs, which in most cases, if we look at most of the implementations that we've done, just that line alone easily pays for the incremental cost of having channel data management available. And for those who are more concerned on the implications of channel revenue recognition, it provides a significantly better audit trail and higher level of accuracy, again, driven by the items I mentioned earlier. So this is a high-level overview of the new capabilities and why we brought them to our install base. And with that, I would like to hand this over to Edgar, who will take us through now a few more slides of the solution and then take us into a demonstration of the application. Edgar, over to you.
Thanks, Sinan. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to walk you through a live demonstration of channel data management solution to cleanse point of sale and inventory information. But before we do that, wanted to give you a visualization on how we do this. So in front of you right now is a very high-level workflow of our patented technology and processes that allow us to collect, cleanse, validate, enrich point-of-sale information, and deliver that information for you to consume in downstream applications. Our solution is the only solution that provides a bidirectional sync with both REC and Salesforce.com. I know our current model and install base is very heavy on both of those modules. So we're the only ones out there in the industry that have a bidirectional sync. And starting from left going to right, we have, starting with the infrastructure, as Sinan mentioned, we have the infrastructure to virtually collect this information in any transmission method preferred or desired by the partners. Currently, we have 10,000 distributors and resellers actively reporting with us, and they report in a combination of ways. We collect from a secure file transfer. There are files. It could be a flat file, CSV, Excel, or it could be EDI. Also, alternatively, we have value-added network exchanges for EDI transmissions. Also, for APAC and other global parts of the world, they are still on using heavy Excel report formats. And those formats are sometimes desired to be submitted by email collection. So we also support that, as well as an on-premise tool that extracts, transforms, and loads this information directly from their accounting systems. So I'm going to go ahead and proceed with the demonstration today. It's going to be a day in the life of a POS file demonstration, starting with the file submission and then going through some key sub-processes of the cleansing process. So this includes product matching, account matching, and validation. So what I just brought up here is the operational workbench for channel data management. This is on our cloud application and is accessible to both your distributors and resellers. They have a restricted access to log in, as well as our internal operational team, and you as a customer would also have access to this module to monitor and configure all of your channel data management processing efforts. So for starters, we're going to go ahead with the file submission. So in extenuating circumstances where possibly a resubmission occurs and the distributor is on EDI, but the resubmission they desire to have in a different format, like I said, we have different formats available to them to leverage. In this case, Ingram Micro is going to submit through an Excel format through our web upload tool. So the distributor submits their information. At this point, the application notifies and copies people at the customer site of this event that occurred, right? So there are different automated notifications that are disseminated to alert your operations team or your sales team that Ingram Micro has successfully reported, and the information is now available. So you can copy people on different events, such as expected notification success, failures, or late notifications. Additionally, we have, as Hanan mentioned, services around the automation. So one of our most popular services is active partner management. So in circumstances or cases where a distributor or reseller reports late or not at all, they're going to be tasked with the responsibility of tracking down those files. So a representative of our active partner management department would log in, view the status of the files that are expected based on the submission schedules, and then they will personally reach out through our existing connections with those distribution partners to help them submit the outstanding reports that have not yet been submitted. Using this active partner management service, we have a semiconductor in our current install base that's able to recognize rev rec on sales out for 99% of their channel revenue. So that's an increase of 20% when compared to their process without our active partner management services. So we saw a 20% increase in compliance with the combination of our automation and our active partner management services. So going back to the flow of the information, like I said, there's transparency into the whole process of the collection and cleansing efforts. So I'm going to go ahead and underneath research and file, I'm going to go ahead and retrieve the file that was just submitted when we started the demonstration. So here you can search by different parameters to bring up the file that you are in wanting to research. And once this file is brought up, you can see the status of the cleansing process in terms of product matching, account matching, validation, and even an export status. So you know when that information is available within your REC downstream module or maybe your Salesforce module. So the processing of these files occurs in many cases near real time. We have some distribution partners that rev rec on an hourly basis. Others consume the information on a daily basis. But as you can see, the file that I uploaded earlier has completed the cleansing and validation effort and is now queued for export downstream. So let's talk about the steps to make the cleansing effort happen. So for starters, the product matching. So in order to complete product matching, we would collect at time of implementation a product master from you. We can also leverage any alias tables that you may have in order to recognize some associations between possibly a reseller or manufacturer, distributor SKU that's reported and link it to your product catalog. We also offer some enablement services that do product exception handling for you. So if there's SKUs that come in through the channel that does not match directly to your alias records or your product master, our enablement services team or data stewards have the ability to resolve exceptions through our exception handling workflow based on reporting partner that sent the information. So here they can search our directory of over 1 million products and find an appropriate fit. Once they find that appropriate fit, they can create a learning record to resolve exceptions from happening again. So after product exception handling is complete, the information flows into account identification. So for account identification, we use our hierarchy structures in order to eliminate variances in account names that come in through the channel. So for those bill to, ship to, sold to accounts that come in, the application is leveraging many algorithms in order to cleanse these accounts. Some of these algorithms include geocoding features to enrich the address of each entity. We also have some pattern replacement logic and some fuzzy matching to identify an account at a site level. Once these accounts are identified at a site level, they are placed into a hierarchy based on your specifications. So if you have an account master for your REC product or your Salesforce product, we can create a custom hierarchy for each one of these purposes. In this case, I brought up an account for a managed account in Salesforce. As you can see, Annixter Incorporated has an external Salesforce.com ID, and as point of sale comes in and becomes standardized, all of the variations are being rolled up to this target account through our different algorithms. So we have a variety of different algorithms that we use to make this happen on an automated fashion, including some word-based scoring. Algorithms include Levenshtein distance thresholds, n-gram matching, and we also have about 50 different matching rules to customize this to your needs. Also, in cases of consolidations of companies, for example, a company becomes a subsidiary of another, and you want to roll up sales to the parent company, you're able to do this through our user interface. So in this case, Wire Connections has been acquired by Annixter Incorporated, and we want to add that as a child node to the Annixter hierarchy. Someone from the manufacturer, an operations analyst, can log in and make that association. And this would trigger, once this is reviewed, for all of the information of Wire Connections, all of the sales, to reprocess and reflect the new association with Annixter Incorporated. So lastly, we have a validation engine that checks for conformity of other different components within POS and inventory line items. So we've already talked about product matching and account matching, but there could be issues with other components within the file, and that's where our file level validation comes into play. So there are some standard validations that we implement in production for our customers, and we also implement custom validations for your specific need. So some popular line item validations that are used are unit of measure validations. If a transaction has an invalid unit of measure, we would detect that with some logic and flag it for correction. Also, if we receive an invalid date or a quantity that's outside of a certain threshold for the sale of a particular item, we could flag that as well. So for these exceptions, we also have active partner management to help get the information resubmitted. And once the information is resubmitted, you have a full audit trail of the events at a line item level. So for example, here I pulled up a point of sale file for IDG, a distributor, and down below you see a line item that when it first came in, it had an invalid purchase customer, So we had a custom validation to catch invalid purchase customers. That line item was resubmitted for IDG for correction. And when it came back, you can see that the validation code was cleared and the line item is fully cleansed and ready for export to downstream applications. Great, so I just wanted to summarize some of the things that we looked at with the processing and cleansing of the file. We have sub 24-hour turnaround on all files. So what that means is within 24 hours, we guarantee the cleansing of inventory and point of sale information and identification of exceptions. We have enablement services and active partner management services to take care of those exceptions and ensure that reprocessing is handled correctly. And again, bidirectional sync with REC modules and Salesforce.com modules. Also, if you want to integrate with a different ERP system, we have custom export capabilities to be able to integrate with other applications besides REC and Salesforce.com. So lastly, I'm going to go into Salesforce.com and demo from the perspective of a sales representative consuming the cleansed point of sale information in an opportunity using our opportunity matching technology. So as a sales representative, I log into Salesforce.com and within the standard Sales Cloud, I have the ability to come into a certain opportunity and make sure that the sale is being completed as designed. So here the expected amount of sale is $1 million, and down below, using opportunity matching by Model N's channel data management, I see that the amount of $1 million has been completed and actually we sold over forecast. So this has quite a bit of benefits to sales representatives instead of them having to manually enter information to keep their opportunities current. Channel data management does that for them through some matching that occurs on the Salesforce side. We leverage deal registration or SPA IDs to make the association between the opportunity and the point of sale. There's also some fuzzy matching available by assessing the invoice dates, the opportunity create and close dates, and the different accounts and products that were expected to be sold in the deal that was registered. So this gives the benefit of a sales representative to have in-period visibility of the progress of his or her opportunities, give him or her visibility as to their attainment of commission, and also, like I said, it eliminates the work of data entry for the sales representative. It also assures that there's no double counting of shipments to different opportunities. So sometimes there are very similar deals registered and the same POS line item gets linked to two different opportunities and double counted. Well, with the use of opportunity matching, that eliminates the error in the manual data entry. All right, so Hanan, I'm going to turn it back to you to discuss the Dirty Data Challenge.
Okay, can we go to the next slide then for me?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Edgar. So those of you who have seen the information we find that we have a mixed audience. Those who already know that they have the challenge that they're looking to fix, and those that are still not convinced that they're able to truly get incremental value. So we have introduced the Dirty Data Challenge opportunity, which is a quick and inexpensive way, effectively it doesn't cost any money, for companies to evaluate what is the actual incremental value of introducing channel data management along with the Model N current capabilities. So the idea is to basically ask customers to provide us with a sample of POS data sets that have been already cleansed inside whatever tool they're currently being used, whether it's inside the Model N system or whether it's gone already through some cleaning algorithms that you have. And we will run that data against the channel data management solution and see if we can find any errors, corrections, completions that would provide an improvement to the data that is currently available in the company. We will provide the cleansed file and a full report on the findings, and we do that at no charge whatsoever. We basically use these findings to establish, if there is a business value for subscribing to channel data management. So for those of you who are still either not convinced or want to establish the case internally for why adding channel data management along with your Model N solution can bring value, this is a very easy way to do that. So I encourage as many of you as possible to subscribe to this opportunity. And if you want to engage us in the channel data challenge, we will provide you with our contact information in a couple of slides, and we'll leave them up for enough time for people to take down the information, and please feel free to reach out to us. So that basically, here's that contact information that I will leave up there. And what I would like to basically remind people on the webinar, we've had a few questions come in, so we're coming to the Q&A session, which I will start in a second, but as a reminder for those that are still thinking through questions, go to the Q&A window, type in your question there, and we will try and respond to as many questions as possible. So let me start up with a question that just came in, or actually came in a few minutes ago, and this is a following question which reads, I'll abbreviate here a bit. We believe we are doing a good job with some algorithms that we've developed internally, and we think our data is fairly clean. So what exactly can channel data management do for me that we can't do now? So I'm going to take a swing at this and say that I think that, first of all, I'll go back to something I said earlier on. We have actually taken data samples from existing customers whom we considered and they consider themselves to have very clean data. They've been cleaning it time and time again, the end customers, the product information, the channel branches, etc. And we still found on average between 5 to 10% error rates. And I think the key reason is partly what you saw in Edgar's presentation, which is all those abilities to really mechanize and automate many of those processes versus algorithms that are developed internally on an Excel spreadsheet. I think there is a gap there. On top of that, normally the internal team that's available to manually go and resolve what is not typically resolved automatically by those algorithms is normally limited inside a company. We actually had a very interesting session about that in a very different context of the recent Rainmaker. And, we found that companies are able to map 70, sometimes 75% of the data, but 25% of the data doesn't match, and then they have to have an internal team manually reviewing this. We have a dedicated team of over 50 people who do nothing but this, so our ability to better service that is simply greater. But if that's not enough in terms of the accuracy of the data, then we should also again highlight the fact that all the other aspects that we mentioned earlier on, the active partner management, that whole process of engaging with the partners, managing the expectations, managing the exceptions, making sure things are submitted on time and in the right format, we take that full responsibility end to end. Secondly, the ability to map the data to data that was never submitted to you in the first place, but data that we have built over time across those 27 million end customers. I think that's a very unique implication, which again is it doesn't matter how good the internal algorithm is, that's simply not something that is available internally in the company. And then all the segmentation classification services. I think that these are all add-on capabilities that are simply not available today, no matter how good the people in the back room with Excel spreadsheets are. They're just not available inside the companies today. Let me jump into another question that came up. This is just more of a logistics one. We will be sharing the slides, so we'll be happy to. Those who ask for it, just please just email me, and I will be happy to send out those slides. Another question that just came in is, if I'm interested in taking the Dirty Data Challenge, as you described it, what is needed from me? How do I do this? How long does this take? So perhaps, Edgar, can you take a swing at that question?
Yeah, so if someone's interested in participating in our Dirty Data Challenge or the campaign that we have in showcasing our cleansing algorithms, they would first have to contact us, of course, and schedule a meeting with myself or one of my solutions colleagues, because we really want to understand what they want to accomplish in their data cleansing. Our application is highly configurable with a variety of matching rules that are customized based on your business need and how you need to consume channel, POS, and inventory. So we would do this remotely. Takes 30 minutes or less to define the success criteria of processing your information. And as far as some of the inputs required, if you want us to prove out matching product IDs to your product list, we of course would need your product list to accomplish that. Also, if you want to leverage your account master in the account hierarchy and matching, we would ask for that as well. So the entire effort, once scheduled, takes about 48 hours for us to schedule it and turn it around and generate a report showcasing the capabilities and the findings of the Dirty Data Challenge effort.
Okay. By the way, we've been bombarded with a bunch of more questions coming in, so I'm quickly scanning through as many as I can. Let me see here. There's a question here about if we currently have EDI set up for REC and want to use channel data management, what changes do you expect for both the manufacturer and the distributor? So I'm going to take a first swing at this, and then Edgar, you can feel free to either correct me or complete my answer. Technically, there should be actually no change. One of the options is to have no change whatsoever. It really depends on how the company prefers to set it up. In some deployments, we are actually the first point of contact, meaning that the distributor actually now points the EDI to the channel data management feed, and we take in the data there, we cleanse it, and then send it over into the model and applications for further processing, whether it's credit claims or price protection or other purposes. And in some cases, the customers tend to want to keep things as they are, take the feed internally as they're taking it right now, and then do an export into the channel data management solution. Either way works. It is more of a preference from the customer. We tend to recommend having it pointing first into channel data management and only then upload it into Model N, simply because that means that cleaner data will be going into the Model N system, and whatever remaining reconciliations that need to take place will be, or at least supposed to be, dramatically reduced. So that is, our standard position going into this. There is a follow-on question that is related to this, which I will come to in a second, but I'd like to give Edgar an opportunity here to add more information to what I've just said.
Yeah, Hanan was absolutely right. The transition's seamless. We can accomplish additional requests with a brand new onboard, if you will. So if you're wanting the information on a faster cadence with our existing relationships with these distribution partners, we might be able to increase the frequency from maybe a weekly reporting cadence to a daily or sub-daily reporting cadence. But as far as how the process looks, it's rather seamless and with minimal impact to your business.
Okay. So there was a related question to this which I want to touch on, which is can you please share the timeline for Model N and Channel Insight when they'll be fully integrated? So this relates to the data feed going from, let's say, channel data management directly into the Model N POS feed. I think this was shared at the Rainmaker session, the roadmap session, and if memory serves me correctly, I believe we're talking about 1 quarter out. But I will double check, and I will reach out to the person who sent this and send the email directly with a response. I believe that this was shared at the Rainmaker roadmap session, and as I said, if I'm not mistaken, we're talking about 1 quarter out. In other words, in the following quarter from now. A few questions came in, actually 3 different questions came in regarding pricing. Several people asked whether this was a one-time fee or an ongoing fee, and somebody else was also asking about how do you rationalize the cost of having a number of interns in a low-cost region, I'm assuming in Asia, and how this is priced. So I'm going to try and bundle all of those questions into one response. Hopefully I'll be hitting on all the points here. The Channel Insight solution is a subscription, so it's basically an ongoing fee. It's not a one-time fee. Within that, however, the segmentation and classification is actually a one-time fee. So that once we've classified an end customer or other parameters in a certain way, that's the way they're kept. So we're only doing incremental for, let's say, a new customer shows up in the list. But generally, once they're done once, there's no need to pay for them, multiple times. The subscription is, the ongoing subscription is for all the aspects we just mentioned, the ongoing partner management, the infrastructure that's put in place, the data cleansing processes, the directory and enrichment processes. Those are the ongoing components of the service. And in terms of costs and how this is priced, basically we have a structure of pricing that is a matrix pricing tied to the number of reporting channels and the volume of transactions. And these are essentially the 2 parameters that really impact the scope of work we need to do in terms of the number of partners that we need to make sure we're collecting the data from, and if we don't have, for any reason, a connection to one of those partners, to establish it. And then, obviously, the volume of transactions impacts the cloud infrastructure that's supporting this. So those are the 2 elements that drive pricing. Fewer partners, fewer data feeds, lower costs, higher number of partners, higher number of transactions has a higher cost. And again, just to put some ideas, if we take an average company that's operating, let's say, between 3 to 5 people in a low-cost region, we can easily offset that cost with this offering. In other words, it would be comparable or lower to that offering. And again, I say that with one caveat, which is we need to see what the volume of transactions and volume of partners are. But typically, we can easily compete with that. And let's see, I've got a couple more questions that came up. Let's see here. I'm just sorry for the quick scroll. Currently, we have our actually, this is a repeat here. Currently, we have our channel data going directly to us, and we feed it into Model N. How would this be different if we choose CDN? So again, I don't want to repeat, the storyline, but essentially, again, it really is a customer decision if you want to keep things as they are and then extract the data into channel data management. Our recommended process would be to change things and actually push them into CDN first, simply because it means cleaner data going into the system. We have here a question coming from about what are the current customers of Channel Insight and the ones that are currently subscribing to the service. What kind of improvements are they requesting? So this is, again, something which was covered at the Rainmaker roadmap session last week. And I think the key things that we were looking to invest in were further enhancements on performance, essentially because we are now faced, if now we're dealing with between, let's say, I don't know, around 10 million lines a month, we have a few customers who are threatening to increase that volume dramatically, and so we are looking to make some investments from a platform and performance aspect. I think that was the main key. Another area was in analytics, and I deliberately asked Edgar to not focus on analytics in this session today, mainly because the sense is, from having spoken to many of our customers, was that analytics is not necessarily the first #1 driver. If you have clean data, some companies believe they can just push it into any BI framework and do the analysis. Others are actually saying, while we can do that, the effort that is required from us and our IT organization to create and maintain those reports is too great. Can you guys provide that as part of the solution? So we have already a very robust standard stack of reports that literally is, dozens and dozens of reports around channel data, around accuracy of data, around channel performance that we have not spent time showing today. And for those who want to learn more about that, we can definitely do a dedicated demo and show you those capabilities. We have had some customers ask for further enhancements to drive more capabilities around analytics. There's another question that came in, can you explain coverage on a global basis and how this fits to other Model N solutions? So I'll take a swing at this one, and then again, Edgar, feel free to add and correct me. Model N as a company operates globally. We have offices in India, in 2 locations in Europe, and then in about 5 different locations in the US. And from an operation standpoint, whether it's tech support, whether it's R&D, whether it's QA, we have actually capabilities across the board in many of these different locations and services as well. The operational channel insight is slightly different because we do need to engage, especially in the active partner management. We do need to engage with partners in multiple different locations and engage in different languages. This actually is currently run mostly from one location, which is working in shifts. So it's not multiple locations, it's simply different shifts that are working. We have people working at night, 2 a.m., doing phone calls and discussing what needs to be discussed with partners, and we have the capacity and the people to do that in multiple languages, ranging from European languages to Mandarin, Japanese, and Spanish, etc. So we have pretty strong coverage there. We also have capacity in the data analysis team, the team that's doing the segmentation and classification, to do translation services, which we subscribe to make sure that we're working and getting the correct data that we need for the analysis purposes. Let me stop here and see, Edgar, do you want to add anything to that? Edgar, you might be on mute. We may have lost Edgar. Okay. So hopefully my answer was complete. When we look at, there's another question that came in, which is what is the average number of transactions from the customers who subscribe to channel data management? Again, I'll say it kind of depends. Some companies start with only a certain region. And let's say we have one company that just started with the Americas, and their volume is something like 20 to 30 partners, and we're dealing with something to the tune of about 150,000 lines per month, which is just north of 1 million lines, 1.2 million lines a year. And that is what we would consider to be a medium to small type of engagement. We have customers that, start full-blown with as many as 150 to 200 different partners, and we'll have as much as between 500,000 to 1 million lines a month, which is, between the 6 to 10 million lines a year. And so far, none of these capabilities or these requirements have been stretching our capabilities. So that is the range that we currently operate in. We do have some smaller customers than that, but the majority are in the range of between, let's say, 1 million transactions and as high as 10 million transactions on an annual basis. That would capture a big portion of the customers currently using this offering. Again, we do have some exceptions of those who are doing 500,000 or only 200,000 transaction lines on an annual basis, but those tend to be the minority. Where we were being stressed is where we have some customers who actually are looking at bringing on parts of their business that have as many as 50 million lines a month. And that is simply a different scale of operation that we're looking to get to, by the way, but we're probably about 2 to 3 quarters away from making those performance improvements and expansions in the cloud infrastructure. So hopefully that answers that question completely. Let me see. There's one more question here that came in, but I think it'd be best suited for Edgar. So I don't know. Edgar, are you still with us? I guess we lost Edgar. So I will try to return to this last question personally to the person who sent it. So with that, I want to thank everyone for the time that you've invested with us this morning. I hope you found the information useful and helpful. And again, I encourage you to reach out to us and sign up for the Dirty Data Challenge to help you establish the value of channel data management in your company. And if you would like to get more dedicated demos and more details, please reach out to us and we'll be happy to schedule those for you. Thank you again for attending the webinar, and we wish you all a fantastic day. Bye, everyone.